that stretched as far and as wide as you could see. There was a chair that was already sitting there with your name on it, and all you had to do was just go pull this chair out
your chair
and sit down and have fellowship and bring all your stuff to that table. And that's, to this day, probably one of my favorites.
You know, I told you this, but when I saw you in December at the show here, one of my favorite moments was when you did Wash Clean just by yourself with a guitar.
Yeah, so that's another one. We had a guy, funny story. He's been to several shows over the last few years, and he always would bring a sign that said "Wash Clean." Unfortunately, I couldn't remember the lyrics because I hadn't played it in probably 4 years. And I told him one night during the middle of the song, or during the middle of our show, I was like, "Hey man, sorry, but I can't remember the lyrics right now. I'd love to play it." Well, a week later, he shows up. He sees my piano player walking down the street from the bus. He says, "Here, hand this to Zach," and he hands him the chords and the lyrics.
Wow.
And he says he doesn't have an excuse. And so I went back before the show and ran through that song a couple times and came out that night. And it's the first time I played it in 4 years, and I did it by myself. And everybody liked it so much, that's why I did it that night. The last show of the year of the Christmas tour.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It's a great song.
Annie said she'd love to see a book from Crystal